Brand new information about PS5 Pro Enhanced Games has arrived, and it sounds promising because apparently PlayStation is asking developers to get games ready, and I think this likely explains some of the silence from first-party studios as well as their absence with any games this year, although I will speculate about a potential surprise that might happen later this year. But the new info also includes options and technology specifically designed for old games, which is obviously needed. Games like Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, God of War Ragnarok, and Horizon Forbidden West, they're not exactly old, but their performance and their quality modes could certainly benefit from what I'm reading. It also seems as though PlayStation is pushing to have a solid list and a lineup for the PS5 Pro Enhanced Games when this thing is announced and when it finally launches. So I want to break this down for you. I don't necessarily want to get into the numbers and the specifics. That's not fun to listen to, like 1080 this and that. I'll talk a little bit about resolution, but I really want to focus on what we are likely to see from new as well as old games that want to be PS5 Pro Enhanced. Now, this video redirects to a live stream where I discuss the topic, so make sure and check to see if I'm live right now. If not, you can watch the past broadcasts and listen to the discussion. Make sure you hit sub and the bell button so you don't miss the content. So first, I want to give a backstory on this. I'm going to include a few references of my own coverage about my predictions about the PS5 Pro, but then I want to look at what happened. We have new information from The Verge, which was ultimately confirming a lot of the other things that we've heard, but also a YouTube video got hit with a copyright claim from Sony. So clearly we have good information and it's reliable if Sony's trying to hide it and shut it down. They typically don't copyright claim a video if it's not true or if it's got lies in it. They're only going to do it if you have actual info that they don't want you to have in your video. So then I'm going to tell you what I think. I've been pretty vocal about the PS5 Pro, and the more I hear, the more I'm convinced that this is related to first-party dev silence, and I'll explain more about what I think they're doing there, because I'm going to end with some predictions, because I have made some pretty strong predictions about what I think the PS5 Pro will do, and I have some new predictions about 2025, as well as the fourth quarter this year in 2024. So first, just a little backstory. The leaks about the PS5 Pro sort of came in waves. Tom Henderson at Insider Gaming was the first one to claim that it was coming, and he was largely dismissed. And then folks started paying a little bit more attention to his claims when his other leak about the PSQ Lite came true when the PlayStation Portal was announced. Now, it was very clear at that point in time the guy's got sources at PlayStation. Then he rightly predicted that in early 2024, we were going to see specs of the PS5 Pro get leaked because the dev kits were going to be arriving at third-party developers, and they tend to be a little bit more leaky than the first-party studios. Now, that happened. We know it. We've seen them. We have since been getting more and more information about the PS5 Pro. And then the Moore's Law is Dead YouTube channel recently put things into overdrive with the video, with specs and other details. That video just this week was removed at the request of Sony, which tells you that the info was accurate. Now, based on that info, I did a handful of streams, made some predictions. I believe the PS5 Pro will be disruptive. I think it's going to appeal to developers and make developers want to make their games for PlayStation first. I believe it will expedite the death of 30 FPS console games, and the new info that we have reinforces some of my beliefs about what this device will do. So, what happened? What is the new information that we have? Well, Tom Warren from The Verge has been very busy reporting on this. He published 2 articles about the topic, one each after the other each day, and also he had one that he drew attention on a tweet about the Moore's Law video being removed, so he made sure to draw people's attention to that as well. Now, his first article is titled, "Sony's PS5 Pro is real and developers are getting ready for it." And the byline of the article claims Sony is asking developers to get games ready over the summer with a push for ray tracing support. Now, right in the opening of the article, he claims the following. The Verge has obtained a full list of specs for the upcoming console. Sources familiar with Sony's plans tell me that developers are already being asked to ensure their games are compatible with this upcoming console, with a focus on improving ray tracing. Now, the line about ray tracing is not surprising at all. The first leaks indicated that this console would target accelerating the ray tracing, and then that's why I said devs were going to find this attractive. It's going to be disruptive because they really like ray tracing. It helps make development go faster. It automates some of the lighting work. This is not just a gimmick that people think it was. I thought ray tracing was a gimmick, and then I researched why developers love it so much. If they are able to do more with ray tracing without hurting performance, that's something that I am not surprised PlayStation is pushing for. Like, hey, get that ray tracing up there, man. Get these games looking even better. And Sony's expectation is that both the standard PS5 and the PS5 Pro are both supported. More from the article. Sony is expecting game developers to have a single package that will support both the PS5 and PS5 Pro consoles, with existing games able to be patched for higher performance. He then outlines a lot of the tech that we've heard about. I'm not going to retread that, okay? Devs can opt in to use the higher frequency mode of the CPU, get roughly 10% more power. Devs will be able to tap into more memory, more GPU power as well. But then he has exciting details about the PSSR upscaling. He says the following: this new architecture supports Sony's custom PSSR upscaling solution, which is designed to replace a game's existing temporal anti-aliasing or upsampling implementation. Sony notes that, quote, inputs are quite similar to DLSS and FSR, and that full HDR support is included. So listen, having their own custom-made upscaler is apparently yielding really good results, because in the same paragraph, Tom Warren notes that Sony says there is around 2 milliseconds of latency involved in upscaling a 1080p image to 4K, and that the company is working to support resolutions up to 8K and even improve the latency in the future. Now remember, previous reports indicated that the PSSR technology was built to achieve 4K 60 and 8K 30 in the PS5 Pro, but future targets, they were looking at 4K 120 and 8K 60, which I assume those are the targets for the PlayStation 6. This is going to be a great bridge between the generations. They have their own custom-made tech that's going to make a cross-gen title able to potentially get double the performance on the PS6 when it lands. So if you're launching a cross-gen title, let's imagine a God of War that's hitting both PS5 Pro and PS6 and PS5. Well, with the PSSR technology, they could be boasting about 4K 60 on the Pro, but then 4K 120 on the PS6. Now, Tom closes this first article with his expectations. He says, I'm expecting to see an enhanced library of existing games for the PS5 Pro launch and new first-party games arriving over time with improved ray tracing support for this new console. Now, his second article might have caused some concern because the headline does not line up with anything we've heard up to now. It doesn't even really line up with anything I just talked about or read, but it makes more sense once you go down into the details. And I'm going to predict here that I don't think PlayStation is going to play fast and loose with giving people the PS5 Pro Enhanced label, okay? His byline gives the hint in the second article. It says, the PS5 Pro will also have an Ultra Boost mode that games that don't get enhancements. So basically, these games can use the Ultra Boost. Now, first, he outlines the two scenarios where a game could get the PS5 Pro Enhanced label while not hitting 60 FPS. Again, I find this concerning. It's like you shouldn't be getting the enhanced label if you're not at least giving us 60 FPS, because the one leak said that. In one example, they would raise the resolution from 1080 or 1440 to 1280 or 2160, and that's it, right? Now, if they do this, the frame rate could stay at 30 FPS, and they might still get the enhanced label. Also, if they push more ray tracing, but they still keep the ray tracing mode at 30 FPS, they could get the label. Now, I personally think that this would be a bad precedent to set. Telling someone that their ray tracing 30 mode just has more ray tracing, I think that's vague. Telling somebody that their 1080 game is now 1280, well, that's not a really strong offer either. That doesn't sound enhanced. Previous leaks used the phrase constant 60 FPS, right, as one of the things that they were looking for out of PS5 enhanced games. That's easier to detect. That's easier to promote. That's easier to sell as an enhancement. Taking a ray tracing mode and just giving you more ray tracing, that's not nearly as compelling as getting higher performance or seeing the number 4K, right? Going up from 1440 or something like that. PlayStation is also unwilling to give the enhanced label to games that have variable resolutions where they go up and down if they simply just raise like the lowest resolution it can hit. They're like, that's not enough. And I agree with that, okay? Then Tom Warren details how even if games don't push an update, they will actually still benefit. He says the following: developers will need to update their games to Sony's latest SDK to take advantage of the PS5 Pro features, but some games that haven't been updated will still benefit from better performance on the upcoming console. I understand that the PS5 Pro will have an Ultra Boost mode that will help VRR modes run at a higher frame rate, and games with a variable resolution may render at higher resolutions. Overall frame rates may be more stable in certain games too. So this basically means if they don't do anything, they still get benefits. However, he follows up and says that Sony does warn developers that many unpatched games won't show improvements in the Ultra Boost mode. So you can see why PlayStation is asking for developers to make updates. They want clear bumps in performance if they are going to give you the label of PS5 Pro Enhanced. So let me give you my thoughts on this. First, I think it's very clear that Sony wants games, and I really think they're going to prioritize measurable updates for the label. Just bumping your resolution from like 1440 to 2160, I don't think that should get the label, especially if they have first-party and third-party developers that are willing to do more. If one game gives you 4K ray tracing with 60 FPS instead of the previous 30, or another game gives you a performance mode and it jumps up to 4K and it just maintains the 60 that it was previously giving you, or maybe a performance mode that finally gets to add some ray tracing. Typically, performance modes don't have ray tracing, and then you still get your 60 FPS. Those to me are more apparent. They're more measurable updates. Now, my bias is clearly showing here. I think 60 FPS should be a significant priority if PlayStation gives the label, because we already have 4K 30 modes. We already have ray tracing 30 modes. Giving more ray tracing or giving a resolution bump while still being stuck at 30 isn't going to stand out against games and modes that we already have in the market. A 30 FPS mode jumping in resolution, it better be significant, like when we heard they were maybe even considering 8K 30. Well, okay, fine, that's pretty significant that you doubled the resolution up from 4K. I get it being stuck at 30. A game currently running at 1080 30 or 1440 30, getting a resolution bump, that just doesn't sound like an enhancement at all. It sounds like a quality mode that's still just a quality mode, just maybe a little bit sharper. Especially if the marketing for the PS5 Pro touches on things like ray tracing and FPS, I also think that we have heard from The Verge, I think it explains why there's been a silence and an absence from first-party studios. It might even explain some of the internal first-party delays we heard about at the end of 2023. Some of the insiders that year, they said, listen, there were games that were ready to be shown, announced, and even released. There was a couple that we heard they're ready to go, and they didn't make an appearance. Some of those insiders were a little shocked. I think PlayStation pumped the brakes and said, listen, we want a strong first-party push for the PS5 Pro Enhanced Games when we announce and launch the PS5 Pro. And if the first-party titles bring the heat with the enhancements, third-party developers are going to want to do the same. They're going to want that label. I previously said this is going to be a coveted label by game developers. It's a great way to stand out. Maybe even get some of that marketing push from PlayStation. If they start pushing PS5 Pro Enhanced Games into their blogs, out on Twitter, maybe they put you in a special place in the PS5 store, or they feature you and put you front and center. That is something that developers know helps drive sales. So let me quickly give you just a couple predictions. First, 2025 is very likely going to see a ramp up in first-party PlayStation presence, both in announcements and in launches. I really feel like PlayStation is sandbagging right now. They're saving titles, they're saving announcements and releases for after the PS5 Pro release, which is related to another prediction or kind of a hunch that I have. It would not shock me at all if PlayStation has a surprise first-party release for the fourth quarter of this year of 2024. Something to leverage for the PS5 Pro marketing and the announcement. You want to use your own title. You don't want to use somebody else's title for that. I could see a September State of Play just for the PS5 Pro announcement. That's when they're going to announce the console. I've said that many times. They'll probably announce it in September State of Play, and then it'll release in like an October or November window. I do not think they will announce the PlayStation 5 Pro at the summer showcase. That's likely going to be late May, just like last year. I don't think they announce it then. They don't want to hurt demand for the standard PS5 until it's absolutely necessary to talk about the Pro. When they do announce the Pro, I feel like having a first-party game to carry the enhanced banner, that would be a big win, while also having a list of previously announced first-party titles that get enhancements, and maybe even some third-party as well. I'm also going to continue to say that a lot of people spoke too soon. It was first dismissed as not being real. There is no PS5 Pro. Then people dismissed it as being, oh, it's not strong enough, the CPU is going to be a bottleneck. Then it was dismissed because, well, we're hearing it's going to run GTA 6 at 30 FPS. Go back and read all of the horribly inaccurate predictions about the PS5 for a really great insight into why you should stop listening to these types of claims. So, the PS5 Pro is coming, and PlayStation wants enhanced games for it, likely from third-party developers, but also from their own studios as well. But that's just what I think. Now, I want to know what you think, and you can do that in a comment below, or you can go to the live stream link that we put right here in the card over on this side. Hope to see you there.